Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk about the second fight of the night. Daniel da Silva versus Vinicius Salvador. Salvador, I think, might be 1 inch taller, might be 3 inches taller. We'll call it 2 inches taller. Sherdog and Tapology disagree on the height. But he's going to be a little taller. Both these guys have similar records, 14-4 for Salvador, 11-4 for da Silva. But one thing that is evident from their records and watching them fight is they're both kill or be killed fighters. And that's what makes this such a good fight. Somebody's going to kill someone else. And Vinicius Salvador is favored to do so. He's minus 260. But that's just because we've seen da Silva broken inside the octagon at the UFC level 3 times. And, even though he's looked good in some of those fights, it never seems to last. And that's my prediction here. I don't think, even if he does well, I don't think it will last. But I do think he's going to do well in round 1. Salvador's 14-4. Of his 14 victories, he's got 13 KOs, 1 submission. And of his 13 KOs, 8 of them come in round 1, 4 of them in round 2, and just 1 in round 3. So he's a first-round fighter by and large. Not, as much as somebody like da Silva, but still, most of his success comes in round 1. Even though you could argue that's the case with most fighters before they get to the UFC. His losses, on the other hand, he's got 4 losses. 1 decision, 1 submission, and 2 TKOs. And one of them is a TKO on the ground and pound in round 2. The other one's an arm triangle in the middle of round 2. And then the other TKO KO is a KO. He was knocked dead with one of the hardest knockout punches I've seen as of late. It was a brutal knockout. And one puncher. So even though I trust Salvador's offense and da Silva, I trust both of their offensive prowess very much. I don't trust either one of their defensive, prowesses or whatever. I don't trust their defense. I do think these guys, if you told me either one of them was defeated 5 times, 5 more times, I'd guess that they were finished in at least 4 of them. These guys are susceptible to getting finished, no doubt about it. And Salvador, he's looked good, especially as of late. Got a big upset win over Shannon Ross in the Contender Series. Knocked him around and then got a big, beautiful finish. But still, he's susceptible to getting knocked around himself. I think he's slow. I think he's hittable. I think he's hurtable. And that's why, when I'm playing this fight, I see what everyone else sees. I don't trust Daniel da Silva's defense, and I trust it less than I trust Salvador's. So I guess the smart decision would be to pick Salvador by TKO round 2. And you know what? That can be my prediction, but it's not my bet. Well, it is my bet, but my bets are da Silva round 1 flat plus 500. That's where I think the juice is for this one. That's the most appealing set of odds to me. Plus 500 for round 1 flat, da Silva to win by submission or KO. I think he's explosive. I think he's dangerous, clearly. His record proves it. He's got a record of 11-4, 5 KOs, 6 submissions, all 10 of them inside of round 1. So 10 of his 11 victories come inside of round 1. And from his losses, most of which we've seen inside the octagon, we know what kind of a fighter he is. He's a guy that brings trouble early on. And I think he's going to do so to Salvador. I like his chances of getting a finish. So for a prop bet, I've put a few sprinkles on plus 500 for Daniel da Silva round 1. I really like that line. And on the other side of things, I like Salvador to get a finish in rounds 1 and 2, plus 105 and plus 550. That's really it. I guess, gun to my head, I'd go Salvador just because I've seen da Silva broken so much. But I think Salvador is much more vulnerable than people give him credit for, and that plus 500 da Silva line for round 1 is pretty juicy. And, again, that's not just his chin. I also don't like the way he's looked on the ground. And da Silva, even though I don't expect him to get a round 2 arm triangle or whatever, like the Salvador's loss, round 1, I think, if grappling's the weakness for Salvador, da Silva could run through him. So I like da Silva plus 500 for round 1, Salvador plus 105 and plus 550 for rounds 1 and 2 flat, submission or KO. And I would take KO if the odds were juicier, but they aren't available anyway. They only have the flat round odds on BetUS so far. But we'll see what happens. One thing that's guaranteed is violence. I promise violence, to quote Vanderlei Silva. So enjoy this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos and comment below to let me know about whatever.